what was it?
Good evening. Today is March 4th, 2025. This is the Hannah City Village Council meeting. Everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Ribs. Yeah, ribs. Work.
Like anybody online?
That's what my mom said.
No public input. Everybody should have a copy of our February 18th meeting agenda.
Yes.
Meeting minutes. Agenda. Look at them.
I make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes as submitted.
Second. Motion by Sidak, second by Pearson. Any further discussion, corrections, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Treasurer's report.
Pretty standard stuff. We did make, how much? $6,700 in interest on the Illinois funds this month. Or for the month of February, I should say. Any questions for me?
Make a motion that we approve the treasurer's report and pay all outstanding debts.
I'll second it.
Have a motion by Pearson, second by Johnson. Any comments and discussion? No roll. Excuse me. Roll call. Weaver.
Yes.
Miller.
Yeah.
Pearson.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Sidak.
Yes.
Motion carries.
That's all the votes we've got.
Anything under engineering?
I've got all covered under administrative report.
Okay. We asked the attorney not to be here this evening. Anything for her? So, Brian, go ahead.
Just a heads up, we were gifted a roller.
Oh, nice.
Pass it around, you guys can look at it. But the company that Roger used to work for, he was
That's a whacker too.
he was over there talking to him, and they had one just, it was sitting outside, and they said that they'd bought a new one. And Roger said, what are you going to do with that one? And they said, well, it has some problems, doesn't run all the time, or whatever. And they said, well, you can have it if you want. The only deal is if our new one ever breaks down or whatever, we might want to borrow it back. And Roger's like, yeah, we'll take it and work on it and get it running. And
Did you get it running yet?
I think so, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, sorry.
We use this motion and
Yeah, so that's cool.
Might get to use it in the streets pretty soon.
We just redid the entryway into the lagoon. So I know they put some new rock down over there, so they started rejuvenating it back there. Okay, if you look at the administrator's report, just a few things I want to update you on. Lagoon Solar, they tell me we're going to, I asked when we were going to flip the switch, and they told me probably April 1st. And I told them, my response was, we've got to hit that date. We need to quit messing around, so we need to hit that date or sooner. And flip the switch and get that thing going live, so we can start getting the savings. The good news is we kind of reworked the loan, so we're only paying interest only to this point, and we're working on building everything we need to build into the budget for next year.
Well, what's left with it? Just some remaining parts to put in, or what?
They did get the. they did get the transformer in, and I think it's just some connecting stuff that needs to be done. So I don't think there's a whole lot. They were quick to tell me, and they don't think there's anything to worry about. But given all that's going on in our government, it's possible that some of the funding that we're counting on, to the tune of a couple $100,000, you know, I don't know if that's been frozen or not. But they seem to think that it's going to be fine, and that other people that they're finishing, they're getting it approved. So I told them that I want the paperwork done and ready to sign on April 1st or April 2nd, so that we can get it submitted and make sure that we get the money in. If for some reason, if it does get held up or we don't get it, it's not like we have to come up with that money in cash. We'll just have to change the financing probably to work it out. But I'm going to hope that all goes well. Jim's new truck arrived, and I think the only things left to do on it are, I think he's having the snow plow package put on tomorrow, and they're working on how they're going to do the emergency lighting. I think there's something that they said you can get a package, you can do it through the normal lights, I don't know, rather than putting a bar on top. I know they're investigating that. I think, and there's the logo on the side. I think that's all that's left to be done. So it's here, he's driving it, looks good.
It's very pretty.
Is that one of those trucks that has the generator in the back?
Nah,
Is it the old logo or the new logo?
it'll be the new logo.
I like the old logo.
Mm-hmm.
It's retro.
Yeah. Hippie. The Public Works building update. So I reached back out with information to the company that was looking at buying the Public Works property. Sent them a detailed email of kind of all the steps and things we needed to do, and told them I'm ready to meet. The email would be a framework for our discussion. Just let me know when you want to talk. I've not heard back. So that's kind of the way that's worked for a while. I do looking for a little bit of direction tonight, but I've continued to look for target properties like we talked about last time to move to. Last time it seemed like the majority of interest was in the property that's where the abandoned houses are on it, which would be just east of the Sportsman's Club. I think there's 2 or 3 abandoned homes on there. There's 1.25 acres there, and then we own a stretch of ground, kind of a access road, if you will. There's no road there now, but we own kind of a stretch of ground between the Sportsman's Club and this property that we could turn into an access road. I've engaged the Balls, Jessica and Justin Ball, to kind of help us go through and look at what properties are available. They were the ones that kind of helped us reprice the property. This is owned by an estate, and nobody's lived in those homes, as far as I know, forever.
Since I've been in town.
So basically, we're at a place where they wanted to know whether or not we would grant them an easement so they could get their farm equipment in and out. And I told them we would most likely do that, but we'd have to work out some sort of agreement, whatever. So they're going to go back to them and confirm that they're interested in selling, and then go from there. I'll hold the questions I've got for you until we get to the financial discussion. As far as other places we're looking, we still got the option where the frontage property over on Beacon Lane, either that the Hermans own, or we could reach out to the farmer there and see if he wants to extend down to that corner. And then I've also looked at some farm ground on Murphy Road, kind of across from where E lives, to see if they would be willing to sell an acre and a half or something over there. Now they're thinking about it. I've not heard back. Everybody else has kind of said we're not interested. So that's where that stands. On the 116 sidewalk, the drawings and everything are done, so they've been submitted to IDOT and Casey's, and I haven't heard anything back, but we're waiting to make sure that they're good and ready to move forward and approve. I also sent a courtesy copy to the car wash people, and they were grateful that I did that, but it doesn't really impact them because we're only operating in the right of way. they're actually positive. They like the idea of people not going through their property. So that's where that stands. Alleys, we've got one quote to do all of the alleys, and basically when we say do them, it's Rod, you would know more about this than I do, but whatever the process is where they kind of pulverize it or grind everything up and then redo the whole thing rather than just oil and chip over it, because there's dirt and grass and all kinds of stuff in there. But we've got one quote from Porter Brothers for $160,000, I think, to do all of the alleys. I think I sent you a copy of that. If you emailed you a copy of that. We're waiting on getting another quote to see what another one would look like.
Is that the till and then the overlay again?
Yeah. Yep, I think we did get one just to oil and chip them, and I don't know how well that would work given the condition that they're in. Most everybody thinks we need to kind of do what do you say, till it up or turn it up, and then, but it was $45,000 just to go in and spray the oil and put the rock down over what's there. Grant program update. When I did this, I said we didn't have any applications yet, but we did get one commercial application today or yesterday. I can't remember what day it was, for that yellow building that's right across the road down here that kind of sits back off the road. That they were going to make it into a storage building where there'd be like 4 doors, and then they would rent out storage, and they're going to put new metal around the building and everything. So that would look nice. And then I also encouraged them next year to do the next year's grant to do the pavement rather than just have the rock there. Go ahead and pave that whole thing up, and then it would.
Which building is it?
So if you go straight out and turn left, there's a house right there on the corner, and then the next building over, it's kind of yellowish.
Caddy corner to the apartments, right? Isn't there like apartments right there next to it? Or is it a different yellow house?
No, it's basically a pole barn.
Oh.
It sits. It's before the house, that building, and then what used to be the tree. Buskers.
Oh, right across the
Yeah,
highway.
it's just right there, right across on 116.
Yeah.
Who's the guy who lives right behind it? What's his name?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It's like if you go out right down this road, turn left, it's like right on the right hand side, and it's a yellow,
Phillips Roofing used to be.
kind of a beat up old yellow building that I think used to be owned by Gully and those guys, but they sold it to this other person. They're going to turn it into a, I guess, 4-pay storage, four place storage. Off topic, we did meet today with Matt Rademacher, who I don't know if you guys know, but he's the person that we kind of have on retainer as the building inspector for town, and he does all of our permits and stuff. But we're going through everything in our process and making sure we're doing everything we want. But the interesting thing is, his number's gotten out, so now he's getting calls from, which is fine, from people in the village, with questions about building codes and those types of things. He's a full-time fireman, so he just does this on the side for us. We used to subcontract with an engineering firm, but every year and a half they would give us somebody new, and then we'd have to train them all over again. We found this guy that was certified. He lives over in Lake Camelot, so he does a real nice job for us. So Sarah and I met with him today, and that went well. We've started working on the 25-26 budget. In fact, we've got probably 80% there in terms of getting the numbers. Cassandra and I went through it line up by line and follow our normal process. And I think she could probably do it now without me.
Maybe.
But I'll either share that with you at the next meeting or the one after that, kind of see where we're at. But the one thing that I need some advice on is the capital discussion in terms of what we want to do and what kind of our savings do we want to spend. So that you've got another thing in your packet called 2025 capital plan. Right now, as of the end of January, and I think it is pretty close to the same number at the end of February, but in the general savings, general capital, what's the additional cash that the general account has produced this year is about $180,000. We just spent roughly $60,000 of that on the truck and all the accessories. I've got a bid for a new zero-turn mower that the street guys want to upgrade to. They haven't got the price on what the trade-in value is for the existing mower that we've got, so will be less than 10. Will be the total amount that we'll spend on that. So I'll have that in front of you hopefully at the next meeting. So let's call it $70,000 right there of that 180. So that leaves us about 110. At the end of the year, we'll balance out the accounts and make sure we got enough reserves in the checking accounts to start the year that the auditors are comfortable with. So we'll have roughly around $100,000, I think, of excess cash at the end of the year. And we've got some options. One is we could put that into the tower account and take our water tower savings from $513,000. Now, granted, we're putting $10,000 in there every month. So we could take that up to $613,000. That would be one option. The other option is if we wind up selling the public works property, we could use that $100,000 for the public works building. The way that math would work, if you look at the buildings and grounds down there, I'm not going to say that number out loud since we're on live, but that number is what I'd like to sell that building and property for. If we did that, we would probably have a TIF agreement with whoever bought it through property tax savings. We could probably give them back maybe, 30, 40%, whatever of that asking price back to the purchaser. That'll be determined in part by whoever buys it would fill out a TIF application, and we would look at how much money they're going to make and what the property taxes are going to be and use kind of industry standards to give them a break back. But we get that money up front. We've also got $50,000 left in the buildings and grounds account. That was money that was left over from the trail. So, and then if we use the surplus money, that $100,000, you can see we're getting pretty close to, a public works building without having to borrow much. So that would be one option. So again, we can put that extra $100,000 to the tower, and we don't have to make these decisions now. We can make them as we get to the end of the year. We can put it into the public works building if that's what we want to do. The one question I would have for you guys is, are we at a point where we would pull the trigger and do we want to sell that property regardless? Are we at a place where the guys want to either expand the existing public works building or build a new one because they feel like they need the space? So I guess the question would be is, regardless of whether the company that's shown interest in it buys it or doesn't buy it, are we at a place where we would like to put that property up for sale and build a new public works building regardless? I think I really don't have a dog in the hunt. The positives would be we don't have a whole lot of opportunities to increase revenue, right? We can increase revenue or decrease costs. I think we've managed our costs pretty effectively and gotten to a place where we're operating at a surplus. Revenue increases, the only options we currently have is if they'd end up developing that frontage property, right? And or the solar field that would be behind it. If we did something with this property, because that would be brand new property tax dollars. If somebody went in there and did something retail, we get property tax and sales tax. So that's an opportunity to increase revenue. Beyond that, unless we start doing neighborhoods, right, or developing farm ground, and farmers would be willing to sell property to develop more neighborhoods or whatever, which I don't know how feasible that is. I don't know how we generate, I guess new businesses coming in would be another option. But we haven't had a whole lot of success with that, although this would be an option. This business, if the current business goes in there, we're going to get property tax, but not sales tax.
Why don't we get sales tax?
Well, it's a manufacturing company, so they sell wholesale. So I don't think they don't sell retail, so I don't think we get a sales tax number from that. So, and again, we would work all that out when we fill out the TIF agreement. But there'd be new people coming to town, so that would generate some. Oh, and the gas station. If the gas station goes in, that would be another option that might generate some additional revenue.
Have you heard any more on
he called and said he was interested in putting a sign up, and we said we'd like to see where you're going to put it and what it's going to say. And, you know, if it's going to be on the road, you're going to have to deal with IDOT and so forth, but we haven't gotten anything since then. So.
And he keeps asking if anybody else has asked for a liquor license. He's paranoid that somebody else is going to ask for a liquor license. He's asked like 4 times.
My opinion as far as the property, I know the guys have, for a long time, have been outgrown out of the current Public Works building. But they don't have the room in there that they need.
They really don't have a break space or place to eat either. Or there's probably some OSHA things that we needed to take a look at too.
So I mean, my recommendation, personally, that which way we go ahead and look at getting a new Public Works building. If they don't buy it, then we put it up for sale.
So sell it one way or the other.
I agree.
And then if they don't buy it, if it's up for sale, we can still use it for storage for our rock and gravel and sand and everything to the time being.
I mean, could you build a new building on the same
Could.
I mean, for us,
for them, for the public? Like if it doesn't.
we could. The problem with that is it's going to decrease what's available to sell. And if that existing company wants it, they want the whole thing because they're going to put up a new building there to make like overhead crane parts is what is the business they're in. So
They haven't got back with you.
Really?
He sent me, after you and I talked, he sent me an email. I told him I needed to do some groundwork. I got all the information together, sent him an email, said I'd be willing to talk. I've not heard back since then. Huh? Yeah. And I looked last time we did this, it was last April, and then we went a whole year and waited. And again, I mean, if they're not ready to do something, they're not ready to do something. I get that. And we'd love to, have them here, and I know everybody would like them to stay, and they could be good for the town and what have you. But
also, we're not in a rush, so we could take our time and figure out if we're going to do a new building somewhere else, where that's going to be.
yeah, and I guess at this point, I don't have enough data to help you make a decision, right? I'm thinking just conceptually, is selling the property anyway something that we'd even be interested in, assuming we find a place to move to and that the numbers work and we feel like
That's what worries me. Where are we going to go?
Well, this property that's between or right next to the
That's the big white 2-story house that they moved from up by the bank years ago.
yeah, that property there, it's 1.25 acres. If you count our access road, it's like 1.4 acres, which is about, they have 1.26 now is what the current Public Works property. So it's big enough to do what it is that we need to do.
That'd be a good spot.
And it gets rid of 3 abandoned houses.
Yeah. There's other issues because some of their buildings, the guy that lives next to that, some of his buildings encroach on the property. So I don't know if they have easements. His driveway goes right through it. So I don't know if they have easement agreements. So we've got to work through all that. And like I said, if that doesn't work, we could go back to the corner maybe of Hannah City, Eden, and Hannah City, Glassford, along that frontage property there. And maybe none of that works out, and that solves the problem to, we don't have a place to move to. But I think what I'm hearing is conceptually, if the numbers worked out, you wouldn't have a problem with moving, putting the property up for
We have
sale.
a place to go, yeah.
We give them first effort, first option. If they want to buy it, then they can buy
But
it.
it also has to go up on the market.
It does. We have to put it up because it's a public property. I think we have to put it up for 2 or 3 weeks, and we can choose whoever we want to sell it to. And I'm guessing it wouldn't sell right away anyway.
Maybe finally force them.
It's like who?
Yeah, I wonder if the seeing that posted would drive them to want to make a move quicker. You know what I mean?
It might.
Yeah, I would say let's get our options in order first.
Yeah, like I said, we got to have a rock to jump to before we can get too excited. But I guess I just wanted to get a feel for if you guys were telling me, hey, no, we have no interest in moving. If they're not the ones to move in, then I might take a different approach. All right, the next then is the under roads. So this year we'll complete the 5-year plan with MFT, and we don't have to spend any additional dollars in MFT, and that pretty much the budget will be, I think it's about $1,000 different between what we think we're going to spend and what the MFT money coming in is going to be. So that'll be done. But we do have this the sidewalk, which we would need to spend some money out of. Right now I've got a number of $175,000. They've told me at this point to assume a $50,000 contingency. That seems like a big number for a contingency. But what I did is, as I built the budget, I put $150K coming out of the BDD. We currently have total money in the BDD. We've got $193 and 54, so almost $250,000 right now in the BDD account, and then I was taking $25K out of the TIF account but it'll probably be closer to 150 and some change to do that. So I don't know that we'll have to use all that money, but I'm building this on worst case scenario. Plus we've got 160K for the alleys. So one option is we could, and then in the streets budget, we've got $500,000, 504,000 right now. So we could do all the alleys for the 160,000 and be done with it, or we could do half of it and do half of it the following year and use MFT money the following year for that. I don't know if the quote changes because the lowest quote we have right now is from the company that's going to be doing the MFT work here in town, so they're already going to be here. They have their equipment. So that's why we're looking for a second quote to see what somebody else is going to charge just for coming in and just doing that, to see how different that is. Now, there's a part of me that thinks, I guess let me back up. If we did everything, even the water tower came in and we wiped out all of the savings for that, I mean, we're talking about using probably $800,000 worth of cash somewhere in there. We've got 1.9 in savings, so and we've got enough in checking. We keep enough in checking as a reserve where the auditors feel like we're comfortable. So, yeah, would it make me? Does it feel?
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. It's a lot of money to spend, and does it make you a little weak-kneed thinking about it? Yeah, but I mean, what's it for, right? Is making the town better.
That's what we're prepping for. Yeah.
And imagine if in 1 year if we did this new sidewalk and finished the roads and did all the alleys, and I think that would get some attention in town because those alleys do need work. Sewer lagoon. So there's really. We might have to take out some more of the capital outlay, but we'll not have to spend any more money to finish the solar. We need to get that switch flipped and start saving some money. Basically, in 2025, the only thing we're paying is interest, and the money that we're getting back from the rebates from the government is what pays the principal. So all I've had to build into next year's budget is the interest payments. But if we get the savings, that offsets a portion of those interest payments. That, if I remember the numbers right, I think we were paying somewhere around $1,000 a quarter out of pocket, or $4,000 a year until it was all paid off. So it's not. But in the budget, I left the electrical costs the same. I don't know how much they're going to come down. Plus, I put in the interest, so I'm kind of double dipping to be safe, knowing that the electrical costs are going to be lower once you flip the switch.
I know it's not ideal. You talked about it earlier, but if there is a change in policy, I think you said, $200,000?
I think that's
where would
roughly.
that money come from?
So probably what we would do is, when I talk to the banker, is we probably just figure out how to change the way we're financing it, and we would wind up having to pay more principal than what we're paying now because the $200,000 wouldn't be. So rather than pay the $200,000 just right out of writing a check for it, I'd finance that over a number of years.
Cool.
That would be the plan anyway, assuming the numbers worked out well. Sewer lining's basically neutral-ish. We set aside about $60,000 a year for sewer lining, and we spend roughly $60,000 a year. We spent a little more last year, and I think we have 2 more years of that, and that'll be done. Water tower, I don't think we should do anything unless the loan's approved. And if the loan is approved, we have a choice. We didn't have to do it, but I think we probably should. But we can put down the cash down payment of the $500,000 that we've got. Pleasant Valley water source is on hold, and the water lines we would only work on as if and as they're needed. So the next page, I just had questions of that $100,000 excess. You know, do we want to do the public works building? Do we want to do the tower? We don't have to answer that question right now.
I like the idea of putting it towards the building.
Agreed.
Agree.
The 116, yeah, because in theory, we don't think we're going to get the tower money for a couple of years anyway, which we could, and we're putting $10,000 a month away, so that's 120. That's 240 over the next 2 years, and we don't get the money for 2 years.
We can cover basically all of the cost for the new building with the sale of the other property and this on top of it.
Yeah, we come close, I would think.
And employee satisfaction's a big deal too, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's time we take care of our city folks that are working for us.
The 116 sidewalk, you know, are we willing to use economic development money for that? Like, yeah, I think so too. If we spent 150, we could choose where we take it from. But like I said, right now in the BDD savings, we've got 193 plus 54. I don't know what that pencils out to be, but it's roughly 250,000. So we could take the money out of the BDD plus this year's programs, and our cash goes from 250 to 130 or $40,000 still left over in the BDD account. So it's not like we're draining it. And on the TIF side, we're still cash ahead. And then the alleys, I don't know what your urgency is there. Roger thinks let's just do it and be done with it. And
I say all.
Same. Some of those alleys are rough. There's some big potholes in them.
yeah, for me, it's this whole mindset shift of we've been accumulating cash and building this up, and but this is what it's for.
You're just gonna lose it all.
Well, I mean, this is what it's for, right? It's to make the town better.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're spending on crazy stuff. I mean, we're spending it on basic infrastructure. Okay, so I'll build those assumptions into the budget. We can talk more when I show you the details of it. An upcoming.
Good thoughts, Brian. Thank you.
So on the committee reports, finance report,
I have nothing.
planning and zoning, nothing.
Nope.
Sanitary sewer, Chris Johnson.
Nothing to report.
Water,
Also, nothing to report. Thank you.
buildings and grounds, Mr. Weaver.
Nothing to report.
Streets and alleys, Mr. Weaver.
Nothing to report.
Community, CEDC, Mr. Sydak.
Nothing to report.
Administration, Mr. Miller.
From February 17th to 21st, there was 2 calls, 1 fire, 1 motor vehicle stop. And then on another section of that, from 2/1 to 2/28, 4 traffic stops, 0 citations. 2/26, there was a business home check, 3/1 theft, 3/1 a burglar alarm. That's all I could come up with.
That's what I got.
They're kind of
Yeah.
breaking it down kind of weird. I don't.
I think it just depends on who's running the report.
Alright.
I think the traffic, the one I got, there were 4 traffic stops and no tickets.
Yeah, because we get one.
Well, that they
people.
give the whole month.
They give the whole month on the one
For the
traffic
traffic.
report.
Yeah, on the 4 stops and the 0 citation. I don't know why they're breaking it down like that. That's all.
What was all the sirens about today?
There was a guy called out to a mutual aid fire.
And then over the weekend, there was a brush fire over off of Taylor Road.
Mm-hmm.
Things were going crazy.
Just so the board's aware, property at 226 North 3rd Street Michelle Coulter and her husband Chad lived there. Chad stopped by and got me today. Wanted me to come over and take a look because apparently there's a drain in their backyard that goes out to just water drain like curb and gutter. But it's just a drain in their backyard, and there's probably 6 to 8 inches of standing water in their backyard in one spot. One of the problems, Rod's been around the longest. Those two properties on 3rd Street, 226 and 224, both the houses are both built below grade.
Below the road.
Yeah, below the grade of the road, sorry. So the property basically goes like this, and then off the alley it basically goes like this. And I think that's why they put that drain in there. So Brian's going to have Roger go over and take a look at it tomorrow. He won't be home until like 1:30 or so in the afternoon.
Well, this is probably the second or third year that we've had issues over there when we've had a big rain, and we've fixed it every time, but apparently there's a root cause thing we've got to look at and see.
I don't know if we need to televise that line to see what's, if it's getting clogged up with dirt or what's going on.
We'll get them on it.
I mean, is the water going into the drain? Because like the one
It's
in my
standing water.
yard,
It's just standing water.
the drain's higher than my yard. So it's never going to go
Lower
in
your
there.
yard.
Yeah. And they did that when I died.
But no, his drain, it's actually, there's probably this much water on top of the drain.
Yeah. I had to put that tile.
One of the problems that we did see though.
Does it ever go down?
Yeah, he says normally during the year he hadn't any problems. But now it's starting to back up to his garage, his basement's flooded, but nothing we can do about that. It's
Yeah, we'll look at it tomorrow.
But Honegger's did have their drain tile running off their property, and of course, it was coming back into the rock and then just coming into his backyard too. So that's been moved out to pointing towards 116, and it was flooding out to 116 this afternoon. So
I'd be interested to see what's going on with those pipes, if they could scope or something.
Does it run under the highway?
it runs out. There's curb and gutter. I call it sewer. It's not sewer. It's
Storm drain.
Storm drain right there at 116. I mean, straight from where that is. So then I don't know if then it runs under 116 from there over to the north side of 116, and then out further. I don't know where that runs to.
We have another issue, like straight down first, where I can't think of the guy's name right off the top of my head. Lives right on the corner there. But his yard will flood sometimes too in heavy rains. That things aren't running off well. But what did we get today? Does anybody know?
1.5 inches. Plus,
My stump's been
it's
running all day.
it was still raining, so plus. It was like 1.59 something.
Oh, just one other thing. The other thing that if we spend that money, obviously Illinois funds isn't going to be
Nearly
earning
much.
as much, so
Yeah.
that'll be another thing we'll have to address. Again, these are good problems to have.
The gravy boat has a little less in it.
In 2 years, once the basic infrastructure's done, I think we can get on the horse and ride in terms of saving money and building up for long-term stuff.
If nobody has anything else coming before the board, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.